Ready on the right?
Yeah.
Ready, good. Ready?
Yeah.
All right. Fire. I'd like to call the meeting in order, please. Roll call.
Mayor Davies.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Pokencourt.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith.
Here.
Councilmember Power. Here. Councilmember Chung. Here. All are present.
Thank you. Before we invite Pastor Kyle Phillips to the podium for the invocation, could we just stand and have a moment of silence for Judy Ronvals, who passed away?
Oh, yeah.
Judy and John have been very active in the community over the years, so I just want to take a moment. Thank you. Can we invite Pastor Kyle Phillips from the Grace Fellowship Church to give our invocation tonight, please?
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Red light, that mean on or off?
Off.
Oh, thank you. Let's bow our hearts and heads together. Lord God, what a blessing it is to be able to gather, to reflect, to deliberate, to discern, particular issues, Lord, that face us as a people in this community. Lord, it's not lost on us that not everybody in the world has this privilege, and we thank you for it. Lord, as I think of the Ronvals, the faithful neighbors that make a community work, we give you thanks for their lives. And just ask, Lord, that as good folks share together, Lord, be with them and encourage them as they make wise decisions for all of us. We ask it in your precious name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. If we could all still remain standing. Councilmember Smith, would you offer us our pledge?
Salute. Pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our community engagement reports. Mr. Budge.
Thank you, Mayor Davies, Council. Once again, I get an opportunity to present two different organizations, recognize them, and we have Yesenia Gutierrez. Yesenia represents the Boys and Girls Club of Kern County. What we're going to ask Council to do is to proclaim the week of June 24th through 28th as Boys and Girls Club Week in the city of Tehachapi. And Yesenia, do you have would you like to say a few words? Yeah. And she'd like to mention a little bit about the programs the Boys and Girls Club have and offer here at Tehachapi.
Welcome.
Hello. Thank you. My name is Yesenia Gutierrez. I am the program coordinator here for the Tehachapi Boys and Girls Club. We have been here since April of 2022, and on behalf of the Boys and Girls Club of Kern County and our Tehachapi Club here, we just want to thank you and want to thank the city for proclaiming Boys and Girls Club Week, the week of June 24th to the 28th. We also want to thank you for allowing us to be here, enrich the lives of our Tehachapi's youth, and providing them a safe place where they can go after school. Also for allowing us to mentor and enable these young people to be productive, caring, and responsible citizens of this city. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much.
And Mayor Davies, I invite you to come up and make this presentation.
What we have is a certificate here I'd like to present to you. Tehachapi City Council would like to make a proclamation for the Boys and Girls Club Week. Whereas the young people of Tehachapi of California are tomorrow's leaders, and whereas many young people need professional youth services to help them achieve their full potential, and whereas the Boys and Girls Club instill young people with self-confidence to believe they can succeed at anything they put their mind to, and stand at the forefront of the efforts of the in the areas of key programs like academic success, health, lifestyles, good character, and citizenship. Whereas Boys and Girls Club organizations in Kern County help ensure young people have a safe, supportive place to spend time, and will provide them with quality of development programs. And now, therefore, I, Michael Davies, Mayor of the City of Tehachapi, do hereby proclaim June 24th to June 28th, 2024 as Boys and Girls Club Week in the City of Tehachapi, and encourage all citizens to join me in recognizing and commending Boys and Girls Clubs of Kern County, providing young people of our communities with comprehensive and effective youth development services. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. And part two, we are also, we want to recognize Tehachapi Valley Recreation and Parks District. I'm going to invite Corey Torres to come forward. Corey's going to talk about some programs that they're going to be offering. July nationally is Parks and Recreation Month, and we're going to ask Mayor Davies and Council to recognize July for TVRPD as Parks and Rec Month. And Corey?
Good evening, Corey Torres with the Park District. Thank you so much for the opportunity to come, and thank you for the opportunity to proclaim Parks and Recreation Month. At our board meeting tomorrow evening, our board will be doing the same. And I just wanted to share a little bit about our plans for Parks and Recreation Month on your screens here. I sent over our list of anticipated events and programs, starting off with July 4th, the All-American 5K and the 4th of July Festival. It's every year, but we're also hosting a number of free events, so highlighting the lake. We operate Bright Lake, and on July 6th, the California Department of Fish and Wildlife recognized that that day you're allowed to fish without a license, so why not promote our lake and come out and fish? It might give an opportunity. Some of these events, it's an opportunity for people to come out to maybe one of the parks in town or facilities that maybe haven't before or in a long time, and maybe it'll get them to come back. And so, like he mentioned, this initiative for Parks and Recreation Month is a national campaign. It's been followed nationally since about the 80s. And so we wanted to bring that locally here and highlight, the amenities and the facilities that we own. Later down in that list, later in the month, you'll notice that we're partnering with you guys. You guys have a couple new facilities. With the pickleball courts, we plan on hosting a pickleball tournament. It'd be really fun to highlight the newly built courts. And also at your five-a-side soccer park, I know it's a soccer park, but we're going to throw in a family dodgeball night. I think it's it would be pretty fun to have a dodgeball night there too. Balls can't escape, but it's just another fun opportunity to highlight not only our parks, but the parks that we have in our Tehachapi community. And so, not only do you have the opportunity to proclaim it, Park District has an opportunity, but we're also asking Golden Hills Community Services District to proclaim it as well. Their meeting is this Thursday. We are asking them to host a nature walk at the Golden Hills Nature Park, host a 5K community walk and run at the Freedom Trail. And so highlighting all of our amenities here and getting people out and encouraging people to go outside, be active, be healthy, and to celebrate our parks and our beautiful facilities with not only your family, but other families, and sharing a memory together. It's a perfect month of July, so it'll be a really fun month. And it's jam-packed with activities, but we can't wait. Looking forward to it. So that's all I had. Thank you so much.
With that, should note that Corey and I have been meeting every 2 weeks on things that we can collaborate with. So some of these things that he presented tonight are things that we got an opportunity to talk about, see how we can work together and provide for our community. So this is truly a collaborative effort. And Mayor Davies, if you will, ask you to make this presentation.
Here we go. Tehachapi City Council Proclamation, Parks and Recreation Month. Whereas Parks and Recreation is an integral part of the communities throughout the country, including the city of Tehachapi by promoting time spent in nature, which positively impacts the mental health of increasing cognitive, thank you, performance, my glasses, I just got new glasses so I can't see anything. Increasing performance and well-being. Whereas Parks and Recreation encourages physical activities by providing space for popular sports, hiking trails, swimming pools, and many other activities designed to promote active lifestyles. And whereas the Parks and Recreation is leading provider of healthy meals, nutrition services, and education, and whereas the Parks and Recreation increases the community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of local tax base, increased tourism, and attraction and reattention of businesses, and crime reduction. Whereas parks and natural recreation areas provide water quality, improve water quality, protect groundwater, prevents flooding, improve quality of air we breathe, provide buffers. Thank you. Buffers and development of produce habitat for wildlife, and whereas the House of Representatives has designated July as Parks and Recreation Month, and the city of Tehachapi recognizes the benefits derived from parks and recreation resources. Therefore, I, Michael Davies, Mayor of the city of Tehachapi, do hereby proclaim July 24th as Parks and Recreation Month.
Thank you very
Sorry
much.
about that.
Thank you guys. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, item 3, a consent agenda. All items listed with an asterisk are considered to be routine and non-controversial by city staff. Considered items will be considered first and may be approved by one motion if no member of the council or audience wishes to comment or ask questions. If comment or discussion desired by anyone, the item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered in listed sequence, with the opportunity for any member of the public to address the city council concerning the item before action is taken. Staff recommendations are shown in caps. Do we have anybody in the audience that'd like to have anything removed from consent agenda? Council? I see none.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Chung?
Yes.
Councilmember Power?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Copeland?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes.
5-0 vote, motion carried.
Item 4, public comment. Do we have anybody in the audience who'd like to come to the podium for any comments tonight? No. Okay. City clerk reports.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Council. So as you know, every 10 years, we're required to update our city council district maps based on the census data. There's only a few other instances where we're required to do so also, one of those being an annexation. So in late 2023, we annexed an area known as the Red Apple Tract. That's located on the corner, the northwest corner of Tehachapi Boulevard and Red Apple Road. California election law requires that the council add the annexed territory to the nearest existing council district without changing the boundaries of the other districts. Although this one actually borders 2 districts, it makes most geographical sense for it to be annexed into District 1, since that sits north of Tehachapi Boulevard. And it includes 1 home in that district, so you're not looking at a lot of voters that are being added to the district. So we do have a map, Corey, if you have that. He's getting there for us, hang on one second. Okay, so if you go down a little bit, so that's the actual property. If you go down a little further after the ordinance there, we'll show you what they, oh, sorry, it's sideways there. But you can see it's circled there in red. That will be the area that's added to District 1. As you can see, again, that makes most geographical sense to go along with District 1 there. So I'd like to recommend that the council approve a first reading of an ordinance adopting the revised city council district voting boundaries, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Do we have any questions from the public on this item? So the council?
That's zoned commercial, correct?
I believe, yes, it was rezoned after it was annexed in.
It's just a reading, so we don't,
Yeah, it's the first reading, so
okay,
Still need to get a motion, a second, we'll,
okay.
to introduce.
Okay, I need a motion to approve the first reading of an ordinance adopting the revised city council district voting boundaries.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call vote, roll call, please.
Councilmember Chung?
Yes.
Councilmember Powell?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Pokencourt?
Yes.
Mayor Davies?
Yes.
It was a 5-0 vote, motion carried.
Development Services Director reports.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. In front of you, we have the SB1 project list for the 24-25 fiscal year. What this does is adopt a list of roads. SB1 requires us to adopt sections of road to be treated in this fiscal year. They also require us to report in the winter time what we actually got accomplished. So this is the 24-25 project list. Looks like it's over 3 areas. And our recommendation is adopt this resolution of the City Council approving the list of projects for fiscal year 24-25 funded by SB1, the Road Repair and Accountability Act of 2017. And I'm here to answer questions if you guys do have any.
Do we have any questions from the public on this item? Council? Bill?
Sure.
There's nothing in Arabian Estates this year?
Yeah, we're doing that as part of the 24-25 ground and overlay. That's going out here in a couple months. Arabian Estates will be paved.
Oh, okay, so it's not part of this.
Correct. Yeah, this is the SB1 funds only
Okay.
for there. Yep.
And there'll be other projects in addition to that out there?
No. Yeah, so the 24-25 ground and overlay addresses some of downtown, including Arabian Estates. We've got another project this summer that'll do Capitol Hills. But this specifically is
For SB1?
Yep, SB1 funds only.
SB1 money only.
Okay. If there's nothing else, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion. Oh,
Roll. Okay, roll call.
Councilmember Chung?
yes.
Councilmember Powell?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Pokencourt?
Yes.
Mayor Davies?
Yes.
5-0 vote, motion carried.
City, Assistant City Manager reports.
Thank you, Mayor Davies. Whoa, a little hot. Thank you, Mayor Davies. So what we have for you tonight is a comprehensive Parks and Recreation study that I wanted to present. This was after we opened the pickleball courts at 5-a-side, the city for the first time sort of got into the recreation facility business. In the past, we've obviously owned parks for many years, but this was our first sort of foray into having actual active recreation sites. And so we have a very complex Parks and Rec situation here in the Tehachapi area. We've got, of course, TVRPD representing the city, Golden Hills, Alpine Forest, Sand Canyon, Hart Flat, pieces of unincorporated Kern, and then Bear Valley Springs Association has their own Parks and Recreation, as does Stein Springs. They're also former members of TVRPD before deciding to go on their own. So we felt like we needed a blueprint, a database, and exploration of potential solutions and partnerships, because there's a lot of different folks doing different things. So what is everybody doing? And how do we sort of maximize the potential in the different organizations we have in this area? This is a study we decided to do in-house. This was one that we could certainly hire a consultant, but they cost a lot of money. And with a budget of entities, that gets complicated. But also just the fact that we have 7 different communities, 3 rec providers, multiple park owners. It would have been really time consuming and costly just to get the consultant up to speed about this area and what's going on. So this is one we decided to author in-house with the help of all the partners that are listed here. So these are all the entities that were sort of studied. Each entity was contacted and sent a request for information. That included a facilities and parks inventory, along with the programs offered, budget information for programming and their maintenance. Each entity provided that, with the exception of the Bear Valley Springs Association, but that information was found on their website, including financial audits and balance statements. So as we mentioned, we've got a lot of organizations, part of TVRPD, a lot of government entities here, and then, of course, Bear Valley and Stallion have their own recreation departments. Tehachapi Unified School District was also included in the study because they do own the most facilities. in the area. They are utilized when available for the community in TBRPD. I know the basketball league is one that is utilized in a lot of the school facilities. So their section of the study, if you notice, a little different, didn't include all the same information that the other entities have because they're not providing organized recreation outside of their interscholastic teams. So these are the categories that were analyzed. Obviously, as I mentioned, we have the facilities and program inventory, any master or expansion plans that are on the books, a funding analysis of the money that is currently being spent, either programming-wise, revenue, operations, maintenance. We explored some service options, not only maintaining the current service options and levels, but what else could be out there. We kind of threw everything against the wall just to see and look at that a little bit. And then some recommendations first individually for each entity, and then also the kind of overall master findings with this study. So I'm going to start with the city. Of course, these are findings and recommendations. So as I mentioned, we own the 2 newest rec facilities in the Tehachapi area. We're continuing to evaluate recreation of parks as new development fees do pay for impact. That's something that is very, it's reliant on development. So new homes coming in, paying for the impact to their parks and recreation. Some of these builders will build their own parks, but at the same time, they're also still paying a parks impact fee, or at least a recreation impact fee, because let's say families, kids, they gotta play basketball somewhere, they gotta, there is a need for capacity. So that's something that we continue to evaluate. And then leverage our grant funds as we did with Valley Park, with a little bit of a subsidy from the general fund, and any other unrestricted general funds to construct value-added facilities. And I'll talk more about that value-added facility concept in a minute. It refers really to our ability, and maybe folks like Golden Hills, whatever it might be, to use their unrestricted funds, potentially grants when applicable, to build smaller facilities that community can use for open play, but then potentially something that TBRPD could utilize for organized recreation play as well. Another thing that we pointed out in the city portion, as I said, the developer impact fees are something that are used only for capacity related projects. So we do that every 3 to 5 years. The projects must meet a nexus to the fee. They also cannot be too large as to drive the fee really high, and then it's kind of unreasonable. So you kind of play a balancing game there. The fees take a while to build up. We currently have about $305,000 in the city's account. Those are relying on residential development only. Those are not applied to commercial because the law basically says, Walmart's not going to demand more parks. It's residents in the area. So that's one that builds slowly, and it's really reliant on housing. So we considered the Police Activities League to leverage facilities and connect with youth. I know we've been chatting with Chief Standridge about this. The Tehachapi Police Foundation has done a few fundraisers. This could be, a lot of cities have a Police Activities League. It's usually a supplement to whatever the recreation provider is. These leagues and entities target at-risk youth. They target underserved population, and they really just create that police department and citizen and really young people connection. So there was thought about potentially putting some together to offer a few programs on the city-owned facilities, whether it's no cost or something that potentially the PAL pays for a Police Activities League team to play in a TBRPD basketball league or something like that to help those kids that might not be able to fund that themselves. And so we want to definitely continue to add an active leadership role in assisting TBRPD to meet the needs of residents and a younger demographic. And this was something to point out. It's pointed out in the report. We actually used a census report in the very end in one of the exhibits. But the city and Golden Hills especially have very similar demographics, very young. Young families, changing the needs of recreation. Years ago, the thought was just build a bunch of baseball diamonds and basketball gyms and you're covered. It's not the case anymore. Pickleball right out here is an example, and different things that can continue to evolve in what people actually want, especially on the younger side. So that's one that we'll continue to address. And then just leave options open to furthering parks and recreation services to residents. As the pickleball courts sort of proved, that was something that's been a demand for that for a while in the city, and so we found a way with unrestricted funds to meet that demand. On the TBRPD side, as I mentioned, we're pretty reliant on outside facilities for programming due to space issues. The Aspen Builders Activity Center is only so big, can't fit everybody in there, and so TUSD does a lot in partnerships back and forth with TBRPD in the pool, allowing the Tehachapi swim team to use the pool and that sort of thing. but very heavily reliant on some of those outside facilities just to meet the demands of the community. There was a suggestion to explore additional partnerships, and we'll get to it a little bit more on the Stallion Springs side, although they're not a member of TBRPD. So those kids are paying, and families are paying a higher out-of-district registration cost for the leagues because they're not paying into via property tax. But Stallion Springs has a community center. It's a grant-funded gymnasium built years ago. They're required to have 8 hours a week of open play. They don't have any really organized activities in terms of leagues that run out there. They've got open gym, they've got Zumba classes and things like that, but there really is no leagues operation. So there were some thoughts to potentially help some of the space issue with TBRPD to work out with Stallion Springs, and we'll get to that in the Stallion Springs section. There were some findings too. Really, there's about the city of Golden Hills assists TBRPD in their operations budget with some water subsidies. So there's some Central Park, a portion of West Park and Meadowbrook Park are paid between the two agencies, and that's about $80,000 give or take each year. So it assists with the irrigation at the parks in the city of Golden Hills. Some of the other findings and recommendations, potentially updating a master plan, which was last published in 2013. So it's a little over a decade old, and those aren't cheap to do, definitely understanding that. But it's something to look at again as the sort of changing demographics of our community and the desires of people have certainly changed. And then potentially considering late summer, early fall programs to maximize facility use, things flag football, which I know in the past was offered through grants with the NFL, fall baseball league, five-a-side soccer in the late summer, early fall. That is an all-weather facility. It's going to be cold in the winter, but it can be used. And so very well drained, according to Andrew. He designed it so it'll drain. So as long as there's not snow and ice sitting on it, it's something that can be utilized. So that might be an opportunity as well. Fees continue to be is something that, registration fees really help pay some of the bills. So potentially hiring consultants just to evaluate lease rates and registration fees. Again, going back to that sort of value-added thing, but work towards organized programs, utilizing new facilities in the city of Golden Hills. We'll get to the Golden Hills section, but they have a very good master plan for the nature park and potentially adding recreation facilities to that in the future. A real big one was just leading sort of a common interest meeting with other recreation and parks providers in the area. A lot of us, some of us in the city, Chief Standridge, City Manager Greg Garrett, myself, we participate in a monthly common interest meeting where we get all the managers of the CSDs and Police Department, Kern County Sheriff, California Highway Patrol, and we sit in this room and we just talk about things that are happening and what we're doing and how we can help each other. So something similar along the lines, like I said, we have 3 recreation agencies up here. We have several different CSDs represented. So potentially getting together on a monthly basis to see how they might be able to help one another. And then including those evaluated expanded partnership opportunities. There could be some cross-programming and some cost-sharing opportunities out there. And then obviously, and all the entities do a pretty good job of this now, but just minimizing competition. So you're not running a baseball league at the same time as someone who's running a t-ball league and that sort of thing, because as we found with the demographics, all these agencies are depending on kids from every different group in order to fill their leagues, just because they may not have enough kids inside their jurisdiction to do it exclusively. So those are things that to continue to look at on the TBRPD side. For Golden Hills, as we mentioned, they're a member of TBRPD, the master plan adopted for the Golden Hills Nature Park Complex. It includes recreation facilities. The whole thing in its entirety is actually attached in the study. It was very well done, and so it was important to include it in its entirety. Limited unrestricted funds though for facilities. A lot of the funding is from water service and that sort of thing. Those obviously have to stay towards the water infrastructure. But there is some property tax revenue available, and just as that builds up, do small projects as possible. Some nature park elements, I know disc golf are in the master plan and affordable with that limited funding. So that's one of some of the recommendations. And then continue the phased development of the nature park. There are some other alternatives, but cost is a factor. And there was one recommendation in the study, as I said, went through several different service options, and if the city were to have its own rec department, could Golden Hills join? Maybe, but it's very complicated and very expensive, and really what return is there on that investment? Or it's just continue to expand what you have currently with the system in place, and so that's where some of the recommendations come. And then obviously as those recreation facilities come online at the nature park, allowing TVRP to expand programming to any newly constructed facilities. Stallion Springs, this is one that is, of all the recreation entities, has the most limited funding, very limited recreation revenue, limited staff. Currently they have one part-timer, and I know the general manager is helping out because she has previous experience in parks and recreation, so she's helping. They have recently completed renovations to the pickleball courts at Mount Awar Park. They are anticipating a small surplus in the fiscal year 2025, looking to break even at this fiscal year that's about to end, and then potentially have a small profit in 2025. Definitely need to explore fee studies for usage fees. For example, the drop-in pool pass is about $4 at the pool, and that's a very expensive piece of recreation or facility to operate. So is there another way to raise that up, to put some more money into the maintenance fund? And some of the maintenance things as well, there is no full-time maintenance staff for the recreation. They're split between the roads and maintenance crew with the CSD, and then also spending time at the community center and the pool. So very limited staff to deal with quite a big pair of recreation facilities. And then also, as I mentioned earlier, there's no organized leagues at any of these facilities. So exploring some of those other options and fees are important. Considering TVRPD partnership for community center usage, so this is alluding to what I talked about earlier. TVRPD has a very busy, I think it's your busiest program, right, Corey, basketball? Yeah, so the youth basketball league, and there's operating in 4 different gymnasiums or 3 different gymnasiums on game day. Practice space is extremely limited during the week, and so there is no organized play right now in Stallion Springs. And so considering a partnership for community center usage, what that would look like is basically an agreement to use the gymnasium in Stallion as a game day facility. I know some of the older kids playing on Saturdays are playing at 5, 6 o'clock at night on a Saturday evening to get their league game in. And so could you potentially utilize the space in Stallion Springs, and then in exchange, the kids in Stallion Springs would get the in-district fee when they go to register for basketball. So that's one of those kind of leveraging what other folks have. That's why that database we put in this study was important. And then for Stallion Springs is really to evaluate the long-term feasibility of their own recreation department. Is the standalone department actually feasible long-term? There's a lot of priorities on their list in terms of operating CSD. Road funds they're trying to raise those, that have been raised since the 1980s. Same with water base rate, extremely low. Sewer, there's some issues with the plant, and so there's a lot of really important fees that have to be studied and evaluated in the next several years in Stallion Springs, and so is recreation still going to be a big priority? So should they explore potentially rejoining TVRPD and what that might look like? On to Bear Valley Springs. This is one, again, because they have a homeowners association, they're best suited to remain independent as a result of their due structure. One of the challenges they have, though, is they have the oldest demographic in the area. So 33% of the population is over 65, and just about 10% are 5 to 14-year-olds. So when they run a youth league, they are reliant on, and they allow this now, where they're relying on outside kids to come in. You get a member to sponsor, a resident to sponsor, and then you can go play in the baseball league or soccer league, whatever it might be. And those stagger against the Little League and the AYSO league, so they're not competing. So finding, they're really relying on kids outside of Bear Valley Springs to fill in the few leagues that they do have. When it comes to association fees, I looked into the numbers. So Bear Valley Springs is 60% lower than the state average for homeowners association fees. They just recently, this year, got the fees to over $2,000. The state average is well over $4,000. California leads the nation with the most HOAs in the country. And a lot of them, of course, you take that number with a grain of salt because they might be in more dense, retirement community areas where I can understand the fees being higher in larger cities. But for everything that the association maintains in Bear Valley, $2,000 a parcel is not long-term, especially as these facilities age, might not be feasible. So, and I know they have been evaluating when it comes to certain projects. There was a recent project to redo the pool deck, and so they slide some of those facilities into the fees and raise them as they can. So that's certainly something to pay attention to, but they definitely need to evaluate their association fees to address aging facilities. The Whiting Center is very old. It's been there a long time and has a lot of operational issues and some infrastructure issues. And so some of those facilities definitely need a facelift. And so it's going to be tough to do with the current rate of the association. And the recreation budget is about 15% of the association fees that are collected. Considering regional partnerships with Stallion Springs, getting back to my point, they have very, very small percentage of kids that you're usually serving with these organized leagues. And so they're recruiting heavily outside of the gate. And so obviously Stallion Springs, being their closest geographical neighbor, is one to potentially partner with. Also participate in those regional recreation meetings if they were to start, and then explore options for cross promotion as needed. There's not a huge reach on social media and marketing because most folks that are sort of following the Bear Valley Association are members, and so when they're trying to advertise outside of the gate, they can use the assistance of other recreation organizations to do that. I know that's been brought up in the past. So some of the major findings and the major themes of the study, really no entity can survive alone. Most residents don't understand the jurisdictional boundaries of government, let alone what recreation district is serving them or whatever that might be. And everyone's relying, that's why there's an in-district and an out-of-district fee in TVRPD's programs. Everybody's relying on everyone else to get the kids in the program, and adults as well, not just kids, but adults. So everybody needs the help of their neighbors. So no entity can survive alone. Again, with Golden Hills, County of Kern, City of Tehachapi, as part of TVRPD, developing those small value-added recreation facilities with either special, grant, or unrestricted funds as available, and that's what we saw recently with the five-a-side field at Valley Park. And then collaboration between agencies should increase as either the financial information doesn't support the growing demands of the public or the demographics of some communities require that cross promotion and recruitment across jurisdictional lines. A few other things, smaller agencies struggling with funding should consider their long-term solvency and whether or not their residents will be better served by joining forces with another recreation provider. Again, back to that point of regularly scheduled meetings of managers for cooperation opportunities, co-branded leagues, tournaments, special events, challenges, that sort of thing. And again, touching on Tehachapi Unified School District as well, but agencies like TVRPD, Stallion, TUSD should not only continue the facility use agreements in place to meet the growing demand for space, but seek other solutions to utilize facilities, especially for basketball. This was something a lot of folks don't understand, that school district facilities, they're all publicly owned. They're all owned by the public, as is everything that any one of us owns. But they don't sometimes understand why, when you want to build a new basketball gym, most of the public says, well, we have 3 basketball gyms. You know, there's right here in the high school, greater high school campus of the high school, the middle school, and the Tehachapi Education Center. Wait, we have 3 gyms. Why do we need another one? You know, not understanding sort of how it works when there's interscholastic teams involved. Also, TUSD should work with partners like TVRPD, maybe the City of Tehachapi, to renovate some aging and underutilized facilities for more community usage. I know I serve as the chairman of the Facilities Advisory Committee for Tehachapi Unified School District. Corey Torres sits on that board as well. We brought up the subject of working more to renovate Imhoff Field, which is the field that's by the Tehachapi Education Center. And that's something the school district has started to pay a little more attention to, more irrigation, mowing it more, and we've kind of pushed to possibly use that facility as more of a open community diamond. It's got a functional baseball field. You could get rid of the infield grass, which is kind of tough to maintain. But there's potential in that facility. It's got a lot of historical significance as well. For a while it was an eyesore for the neighbors, so at least now it's for the most part green and mowed, and they've handled the rodent problem, so it's not just a giant meerkat manor like it was for a while. I mean, those squirrels running everywhere, and gophers, but those have been relocated. And so, so there's opportunities there as well to renovate some of those facilities. And again, that's one of the facilities that very historic. That was actually the very first football field for Tehachapi, was that field before they built Pro Grant Stadium. And then again, those agencies relying on fees for usage or membership should consider studying the rates that are being charged, if they should be updated to increase the sustainability of their programs and their venues. So a lot more information in the study. I hope you've all read it, but these were some of the major findings and some of the major points I wanted to present to you tonight. So happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions from the audience?
Will this report be on the website?
It's on the site now on the agenda package, but we can maybe find it to get it on there so it's a little easier to find. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it's in the agenda packet currently in the agenda section.
Council, any questions?
Just a comment. Just applaud the work put into this. It's very lengthy, very in-depth, and you had to go through a lot of agencies to get their information. Did you feel like you had some good collaboration with the people who were involved?
Yeah, absolutely. Even not only did we send sent this sort of email form asking everybody to give us the same thing, whether it was, like I said, the facilities, the programs offered, and then budget information, staffing levels. So yeah, TBRPD, Golden Hill CSD, Stallion Springs. Not only did that, but we also chatted about some of this as well. And Bear Valley Springs, initially the recreation manager was all about it and was very excited to get started. And then as I kind of went up the food chain, kind of died, and it wasn't really hear back. And so I kind of got to a point where we needed to get this study moving. And so after not hearing back, moved forward and found the information I needed online. So, but the recreation department was very excited about this, and that was certainly, they wanted to see it. So I just couldn't quite get the administration to respond to some of those requests, but most of the stuff was on their website, so it was easy to find. But yeah, I had spoken with pretty much everybody that participated in the study afterwards, and I'm happy with the findings and just making this kind of a blueprint to move forward and just continue, because the goal is to continue to serve our populations and serve them better. And like I said, most folks don't understand the difference of who's doing what. And so how can we all just provide more as the demands for our residents increase and the demographics change?
Now, AYSO, those fields are private, correct?
Yes.
And but it's a regional facility. Everybody in the region utilizes that. So it looks like we're in the market for regional facilities that everybody could kind of share, and not just, like you said, not just one entity can stand on its own, but everybody benefits if we all can see that regional look, especially for, and that's why it's a recreational district, and it's a regional. So
yeah, and even that facility, I know recently there's been some agreements in place with the Griffins Club soccer team to have some practice space, and so they're maintaining a good chunk of that area for AYSO that's reserved for soccer. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Tehachapi football has their fields. They keep, they do a nice job maintaining throughout the year. Sometimes soccer would walk away from it in the off season, the grass would be this tall, and then they have to come back to work. But now the Griffins are involved as practice space, and so they're maintaining a good chunk of the facility. So those are kind of those similar style partnerships to model after.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
I think this is outstanding. It was very, very detailed, and it's fitting that it's during Parks and Recreation Month that you brought this to us.
I didn't plan that.
But it's very fitting.
This is when it got done.
And I know until I talked to Corey, I had no clue the scope of the park. So we were talking about Bright Lake. Is it not 90 acres? How many acres is Bright Lake? I know it's in here.
You're putting me on the spot. A lot of acres.
A lot of acres. but
Google.
I think I saw 90, but I may be incorrect. But until I talked to you about a year or two ago, I had no clue about the scope, and so I think it's fantastic. It's smarter to work together, and I love seeing you guys work with the pickleball, here in our area. So
90, you're right. 90.
It is 90.
Page 18 of the study.
Page,
Reading along at home.
Yeah, I'm smarter than I look. But yeah, I mean, we talked about all sorts of programs and activity, and I was blown away. And I think that this is a good itemization, so we don't have repetition. We can work together, and it saves people money, and it gives a great sense of community when we can work together. Great job.
No, if I may, great study. I think that it sparks great conversation and future discussions, and getting all of these recreation providers in the same room. I think that getting them all in the same room and sitting down and going over this in detail, what does everyone have, I think it's a great starting point. And no entity can survive alone. what that tells me is that we need partnerships. And I'm really proud of the partnerships we have today, currently. I think that in my personal opinion, I think that our relationship with the city is at its strongest. I think our relationship with TUSD is at its strongest.
Nice.
Our relationship with Golden Hills is at its strongest. But we're not satisfied, and the people of this town and this community are not satisfied. Our community wants more, continues to want more, and I don't think they care who provides it. They just want the services that they demand. And people who have grown up here, raised their kids here, and people who want to come here, who they tell about our community, want those services to continue to stay excellent and to stay great and to expand. And so, short-term solution, we can't just build all the facilities in the world to accommodate, but can we take advantage of other entities' assets that maybe are being utilized to its full capacity? And how do we get organized as a mountaintop? Depending on, it doesn't matter what entity is which. Like I said, all the people want are those services. So it's building that culture. It's building that for all of us to unite in our partnerships and to expand those and to get on the same page, because we all serve the same people in this town, whether you live in Stallion or Bear Valley. Everyone participates in all of these different services, so getting organized in that way. So great study. I think it's a great conversation starter, and I think that it's only up from here. So good job.
And that's why in page 2 of the study, one of the study really started out by saying this is not a study to say how do we figure out for one entity to do it all, and that to one mega parks department. That was not. That's why it was listed right away about the study. That was not the intent at all. Instead, it was to find these sort of ability to utilize everybody's strengths a little bit more.
I had one more question. Were you finished, Greg?
I'm done. Thank you.
So on our developer fees, they have to accumulate they're collected at the time of a permit, correct?
Yeah.
So we accumulate over time and project and borrow ahead if we have to, but we have to let those accumulate before we can build another facility.
Yeah, and some of the fee study, and that's actually, the fee study's linked here in the link to it, but we had it here a couple years ago. But yeah, some of the fees are, we have city-specific projects, and then we have these sort of regional city and TVRPD projects. So a few things at Bright Lake, which is sort of a regional, there's a higher share on TVRPD, but then there's, the city's got a portion of that. There's a project we have just to potentially add some picnic structures and whatnot at Warrior Park, which will also cut down the amount of grass we have to maintain, water usage, labor. But that's an exclusive city project, as located in the city, doesn't have really a recreation aspect to it. So those projects are split, and you'll see in that study it's got some cost share. But what happens a lot of the time is, especially if there's not a huge building boom and there's not a lot of money coming in, we project 3 years ago what the cost of the project is. I think these been happening recently. One of the projects on the list, looked at it, thought we could maybe do it, and then the actual costs had risen so much higher from just 3 years ago when we published that rate study that it wasn't worth depleting the account entirely for one small project. So that's the game they're always playing as well. That's why you update them regularly. But again, every project speaks to that fee. So if you put something too high in the sky, the fee goes through the roof, and it's something the developer will not pay. They'll obviously pay something within reason, but if it's too high, it just makes the fee out of this world. They try to keep them competitive to all the cities around us.
Yeah. And I noticed there was a list of all the parks we have. They said this one on Curry. Which one were they talking about? Curry.
The Manzanita? Was it the Manzanita park?
Yeah.
It's on the east side of Curry, Manzanita and Curry.
Right before Highline.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So you got Warrior
Little
Park.
pocket park right
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
It's also sometimes referred to as Braves Park.
That's
It's on-
the one I was.
Yeah,
okay.
it's on Manzanita Street right there on Curry. Yeah,
Okay.
So that one's there as well.
And every little neighborhood's got some good access to proximity wise, it seems like.
Yeah, absolutely, and then that's why the Valley Park recently was such a home run, because that was a neighborhood that had to, and even one of the residents on their news stories, interviewed on TV, they said, well, we have parks, but we just have to drive to them. We don't have to drive to them anymore.
Yeah.
I drove by today, and the bike racks at Valley Park were full.
I noticed.
Bikes locked to them at the front, and we have to put those out on every project for state requirements. Most of the time they don't get used. Those bike racks were full at Valley Park this afternoon. So
yeah.
one of those parks that really is, again, serving the needs of the residents. They don't have to get in their car and drive.
Yeah. So the decentralization pocket parks and that
Yeah.
is a good thing, in addition to the need for, you know, where we could centralize certain events or certain venues or types of sports and that at certain
Yeah,
areas.
not everything's gotta be a megaplex anymore.
Right.
And then recreation is also downsized slightly. I think that's why Valley Park and pickleball were a great example. But a small amount of space here, we're able to get 4 pickleball courts. We had 1 acre at Valley Park. What can we fit in recreation-wise? 5-a-side fit in perfectly. Normal soccer field would never happen, right?
No.
So as recreation evolves and they're finding ways to stay active without necessarily needing 35 acres with the baseball diamonds.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's all.
I think the parks are tremendously important to our neighborhood, something we feel and see even if we don't use them. When I was at the Chamber and we had Mountain Festival, all of the vendors would just be so amazed at the beauty of the parks, and I know Ken and I walked around and identified like 13 different species of trees just in Central Park. But it's one of those things that you know, you don't realize how much you enjoy it and how much it contributes until they're gone, and a lot of communities can't afford them and don't have them, and I think it really makes Tehachapi special. It really does.
It's pointed out in the study too, you know, a lot of times the word, oh, just go get a grant and do that. It's very easy to build with a grant, and then obviously how do you maintain it? That's the challenge, and the unfortunate part sometimes, a lot of these state-funded grants, they're very focused on, you know, underserved and income levels of the areas where the parks will be located. But a lot of times those are built in cities that they don't have the revenue to maintain the park. So they build the park, and it's nice for maybe a year, and then the city doesn't have the revenue to maintain that facility, and then it just falls into disrepair, and so it doesn't really serve.
Right.
So that's kind of the unfortunate part of some of these grant requirements is there are cities out there like Tehachapi that can not only build but maintain. Valley Park has a schedule now. Valley Park has every day someone from Public Works is there, and they have a checklist. They're emptying trash cans, they're picking up litter, they're making sure the porta potties are serviced and adding things as they see fit. We partner with WM on that. So that's part of our long-term maintenance plan, and that'll happen forever. And at night, PD goes over and secures the 5-a-side facility past the posted hours, and then Public Works unlocks it in the morning. So those are all things. So we have a lot of cities like ourselves that can do that, and unfortunately, a lot of those grant funds go to other communities that they can't maintain or have that organization available to do so.
Yeah, I went by it last night, and it's so beautiful. It's all lit up very well. And like you said, I didn't notice the bike racks, but I know a lot of people were there. There's families sitting underneath the shade, and it was just a lot of people there. And that's just a great area right there that we haven't had anything in that area for a long time.
Right.
So.
Beats the dirt field that was there, right?
It was dirt.
So, very good.
Good job.
Thank
Well,
you, Corey. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I've been a resident of Tehachapi for 53 years and taught at the high school for 40 years. And there's always been a very, very easy collaboration with the recreation department and the schools, and it worked very well. And I saw the growth of soccer coming from the East Coast. I taught pickleball probably 35 years ago with badminton and volleyball. And now everything has just changed dramatically. So to see it written down in a good way that people can follow directions and use these facilities, you did a great job. It was beautiful. When I read it, I went, oh my gosh, I understand this, you know? And
That was my goal.
Yeah, but the collaboration between the, you know, recreation departments, schools, Parks and Recs, the whole 9 yards, it's a big job.
Yeah, and even the school district, you know, recently the Tehachapi Education Center gym, that was, oh gosh, built in the 1940s. You know, part of it burned in the fire and then it was rebuilt, and that floor needed attention. And since it is now an independent learning academy, there's a separate revenue source for independent charter schools, basically. So that gym was completely renovated, new floors, a lot of the old plywood basketball hoops were taken out. The catwalk where they used to have, you know, the spotlight during drama plays was removed. The new bleachers were installed. It was put in, and it's a lot more functional now, not only for the students. The Boys and Girls Club also utilizes it, but for the community groups that use it. I know it's used for school district for practices with the cheerleading team, but also for TBRP for basketball and some other programming. So I think finding creative solutions for funding to use those facilities is important, even the aging ones. You walk into that place now, and it looks pretty much.
Well, I don't know if you were here or even born when they put a floor over the Dynatatorium during the winter time so that we could utilize it for basketball.
Yeah, I remember that.
Were
yeah.
you here? Yeah, I mean,
played there.
we had, the Aspen Center was like a godsend,
Yeah.
you know, so, yeah, we've come a long way.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
our growth, you know,
Good to know the history.
needs that, so.
Might need to do it again. Yeah, yeah. They might have used peach baskets back then, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Hey.
One final comment. To wrap it up, Hannah, did you have anything?
Yeah,
No, I'm
just-
sorry, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I don't want to hug you,
It's
go
okay.
ahead.
No. Oh, okay, so I just wanted to commend staff that it was an excellent idea to have collaborative study, and, you know, what a great idea. And the study was done impressively, and I can imagine the effort and collaboration has put in there. And, you know, I've never really realized that we have, I mean, the inventory of all those facilities was interesting, and so that was very impressive. And I would like to see, you know, all these great effort continues, and it results, you know, collaborative, and it create a synergy result, you know, effect, and come up with something, and I'm sure something more, you know, it's good for the community, and as an all together, not wasting, you know, everybody's energy. So I think it took such a wonderful start, because we never had such thing. So it was. I am just very grateful that you did that. So,
Thank you.
excellent. That was a lot of work.
Yeah. I just, last comment would be when you started out, you did it in-house. We didn't need to spend $100,000 on a consultant. And I don't think they could have done a better job than you did.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So kudos.
It would have taken them a while to get them up to speed. It would have been hard to explain.
You would have been
Yeah.
giving
What's
them the
going on.
information,
Yeah.
and they would have put it in a boilerplate
Yeah.
program that they've done 100 places else,
Yeah.
you know, and so you did great. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it was a step one. So I understand the amount of work that you have to put in. Not only it's not only the study that you have to do it on your own, but you have to rely on many different districts.
Yeah, and it
And
helps
I
that we
am-
have good relationships.
Yeah,
with them.
that's another thing that I
Pick up
would
the
like to
phone,
mention.
call the manager at Golden Hill CSD, call the manager at Stallion Springs, rec people at Bear Valley, get them on the phone, talk about what you're gonna do, and it's not, you know, we're all friends and colleagues, and it's easy to get it done that way as
Exactly.
opposed to,
Yeah.
you know, people that-
Competition doesn't go very far
Exactly.
when it comes to, you know, to yield such a, you know, synergy effect
Yeah.
to create. So anyways, wonderful. Good job. Thank you.
That was it, info only.
Thank you, Corey.
Okay.
City manager reports.
Thank you, Mayor Davies. Couple of reminders. Coffee with the Mayors this Thursday at the coffee, Tehachapi Mountain Coffee on Mill Street. This Thursday morning, 7:30. We're starting a new coffee with the chief. It's going to be the 4th Thursday of every month, same time frame, 7:30 to 9:30. That's also at the Tehachapi Mountain Coffee, so we'll see how that goes. I would encourage everyone to have coffee with the mayor and coffee with the chief so that we can continue to collaborate and learn more about what people are thinking and what they like and what they don't like, and how we can work better and serve them better. Farmers Market, it's going splendid. It's grown a bit. It's grown to the east a little bit into Centennial Plaza. Lots of vendors, lots of people. Public Works and Police Department are there, along with some city staff. We have a booth, but it's going really well. So I want to thank everybody for participating in that, whether you have a booth, or you're a shopper, or you're just socializing. It's a great event, so thank you to everybody for that. It starts every Thursday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Final reminder, blood drive is next Wednesday, the 26th of June, hosted by the Tehachapi Vineyard Church. I want to thank them for continuing to host that. It's from 10 to 4 on Wednesday, the 26th, so give blood if you can. WM started delivering the organics cans today. This brochure is attached to every can. That service will start on 8 July. So right now, it's delivery of the cans only. Service starts on 8 July with your regular scheduled pickups. I was honored to attend the Honor Flight fundraiser at Triassic over the weekend. Very well attended. First, thank you to all the veterans that have served in our country. But so many donations from local businesses that were auctioned off. It went on and on and on. It made me so happy that the local businesses were so engaged in that process. I'm not sure how much money was made that day, but it had to be in the thousands of dollars. So thank you to all the volunteers for Triassic hosting that, and looking forward to continuing our strong relationship with the Honor Flight folks. I do know that 3 veterans have gone to DC on the donation that the city was able to provide, and I think the last, the 4th, there are 5 actually. There's one coming up in October, and I'm not sure they've scheduled the final 5th one that was organized. And so then also congratulations to the Tehachapi Hitching Post Theater for their grand reopening. Really excited about the new ownership and the remodeling job they did, and able to continue to provide, you know, a local theater experience, movie theater experience for the residents of our community and beyond. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg. We'll go to council member reports. Councilmember Power.
Sure. Just a reminder, tomorrow is the Chamber of Commerce Luncheon, which will also discuss the programs at WM. That's at Kelsey's tomorrow, Claire?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, just want to make sure. But I'm very, very excited to announce that Tehachapi Valley Arts Association is going to spearhead the mural project. So they have a subcommittee called Make Art Tehachapi that's organizing this. But basically, the murals should be resealed every 3 years, and they have not. They haven't been sealed for, with the exception of the monolith mural, which during construction they resealed it. The murals have not been resealed for close to 11 years. So by September of this year, every mural will be cleaned, repaired, restored, and sealed.
Fantastic.
We're very, very fortunate. Tehachapi Valley Arts Association is very excited about this, but we have the 1915 Green Street mural that fell off. I was having massive anxiety about that because I thought, well, maybe we could just repair a third of it, or keep a third of it, repair 3/4 of it, and we just barely tapped one section with the chisel to see the integrity, and the entire thing fell. A 4-foot section fell. And I went, okay, yeah, it has to come down. So we saved it. I have pieces of the faces. We can get the scale and perspective correct as best of our abilities. So we will be reproducing that. It will be a version. It will not be an exact duplicate, but it will be a very, very close resemblance. We have Lynn Bennett will be the main artist in charge of that. I will be painting the clothing. Susan Palm is a former labor artist in the industry doing sets down in Hollywood. She'll be doing part of the wall that has the walls and the architecture. And then we have Tina Dilley, who is an animal artist, repainting the dog. So, but it will be done, and it will be done quickly. And we've got people donating scaffolding, rollers, brushes, all sorts of work and time. So we're going to have professional artists clean and restore and reseal, and we've got lots of volunteers. So if anyone's interested in that project, please let me know, because there's tons of stuff that needs to be done. But super, super excited.
I don't have anything but kudos, because when we were on Main Street, we were paying people lots of money to produce those. Now you've got collaboration with local artists, and they know exactly what to do and how to preserve them. So way to go.
Well, thank you. Local artists, local businesses, Tehachapi Community Theater, the set designers for them are helping, and it's just started. We haven't actually implemented. We're just in the planning stages. So hopefully next city council meeting, I'll have a website ready for you and everything else, but we're moving forward.
Fantastic.
Mhm.
Hannah?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a mention of that Valley Park.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that, the acre, it was such a blight. I believe we used RDA money. Before State of California took that redevelopment agency away from the city. City did so many amazing job using RDA and the special tax, and then we still all pay. And that was, a lot of money was set aside for cities and mostly cities and counties for eliminating the blights and all that. And that money was gone. And however, prior to that, they took that away, we purchased that, and that's just such a perfect area. And I'm sure everybody agreed that it's a perfect area to have the nice park. So, that was very pleasure. It was, when I saw that, and I said, wow. Because it reminded me of our day, when redevelopment aid was taken away, it was so painful for the city that we have to comply so many things. And it was such a personal note. I was very sick at the time, and I had to work nonstop. It was just like, they're so cruel. If we don't, yes, they was really cruel, that if we don't reply, if we don't meet the deadline, the daily penalty was like $10,000. So, and I saw that, it's just like, oh, reminds me of all good times, so. It was excellent. And just one more, that apricot from the farmer's market cannot beat the market ones, or even Costco ones, so I just wanted to let you know. It was excellent.
Jody?
Kudos to you for tackling the project. That's really a big job. And to get it right, I mean, those are all our founding fathers against those walls, and they need to be not restored, but
Preserved.
yes,
Agreed.
preserved. Thank you, thank you. And the Hitching Post Theater and the Valley Parks ribbon cuttings, I was amazed at the number of people that came. I came like at 1:45 or 2 at the park, thinking, oh, I'll get a parking spot. I could not get a parking spot. So I came early to the Hitching Post, and I luckily was able to get a parking spot. So our city is growing, and the support that we are getting is wonderful. So also, today was Trash Can Monday, and I think they need to kind of take into consideration the wind, because the trash cans were all over the streets, up the curves, up people's driveways, and it was kind of a mess. But the trash cans are light, I can handle them, I'm glad for my 1 bag of trash. And maybe they can think about that for the next time that they bring trash cans out. It might be helpful. So people don't have to dodge them with their cars.
Thanks, Jody. I like kudos to everything that's been said today. The Valley Park is just awesome. It's so nice to see it being utilized. I was at the theater opening. That was so awesome. There were so many people there. They did such a fantastic job in just investing in our community. And then I'm going to give a little plug to the BK. I went to the play Friday night with my family. It was awesome. So if you have an opportunity to go see the new play, Broadway.
Best of Broadway.
Best of Broadway. It was a great job by our local actors and stuff. It was a good job by that. I'm so proud to be part of this organization right now with everything that's going on in our community, how beautiful our town looks, the positive things we got going on, and all the positive things that are being said to me. My wife and I went shopping the other day, and she just left me because I had like 3 city council meetings at Walmart. People don't want to come here and talk, but they'll talk to me at Walmart or Save Mart or anywhere I shop. And so I went to Mojave to get away from here so I could have some peace, and I had a meeting in Stater Brothers. So, but it's all positive though. We have so many things going on positive in this community, and I'm so thankful to be part of it. So part of be grateful of our city council members and our city staff, and what we've got going here, our chief. I was in Bakersfield today doing some sheriff Kern County, and my car broke down on the way back, so I was on the side of the road and I had a lot of people honking wave at me, so, but I got back, so. But no, appreciate everything. We will not have closed session tonight, so we will adjourn. Did you
I
say?
actually have a quick
Awesome.
question. Corey, because you were talking about grant money, I was curious, I think it's Mon, I can't see, yeah, there you are. Is it possible to find out how much money last year the city received in grant funds? I would appreciate that. I'm just very curious because it's one of the things that I've been most recently aware of. It's a lot of money that saves our taxpayers, and you brought up a good point. So I'm just very curious about that. If you wouldn't mind, sorry.
Also, if you get a chance and you haven't seen the hitching post, if you walk in and say, "Can I take a peek?" they'll let you take a peek, and you'll be amazed at the lobby area and the restrooms in particular.
Did they make it a little bigger stove?
They did not. Oh, yes, you'll be amazed. And I asked them if they did any refurbishing in the theaters themselves, and they said not really. But the lobby and the restrooms, you'll be just pleased,
I'm very
much
excited
pleased.
about that theater.
Yeah.
It was so sad when that was closed, yeah.
All right, thank you, everybody.
And they have the same
Thank you.
manager,
We will
that's the
adjourn.
neat part.